All right, my friends. This week on Prof and Dev Play Games, I laugh mercilessly at the dev for cursing NVIDIA and what happened to him after he did so. Stay tuned. All right, my friends, welcome to episode 478. Nope, that was last week. 479 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name's Larry at Prof Plays Games on Blue Sky. Over there's Anthony, the dev, at Summerspeak on Blue Sky. And tell us, Anthony, what you did to piss off the NVIDIA gods.
I don't know. What did I say? Something not. I mean, NVIDIA's been being real obnoxious around Computex. That was the stuff coming out from a lot of tech reviewers that they're put out the 5060, but then they only gave it to people that would sign a preview agreement that basically meant that, hey, you couldn't test it in non-frame gen scenarios, and you had a very restricted list of cards you could compare it to. And shockingly, most YouTube tech people were like, absolutely not. So videos like, we're not giving you drivers, we're not even sending you cards. On day of release, you can get cards and try it and do reviews. So yeah, they basically are like, if you want this, you have to give us good press. Because the card sucks so bad. 5060 non-TI is a terrible card. It's 8 gigabytes of VRAM, which isn't even good enough for really 1080p gaming.
Oh my god, what features. The fuck?
Yeah. Because of features that you have to turn on, like, new games want higher textures. If you want to do any kind of ray tracing, which the 5060, I guess you probably don't, even though it's supported.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of stuff where it's just like, that's probably not enough. And all the reviews have come out and it's pretty terrible. So that was the thing. I was already kind of frustrated at that. The fact that NVIDIA is just basically a monopoly on GPUs, but they want to clearly see that they spend all their time and money now actually taking their fabrication and making AI chips, and don't really care about because that's where the bulk of the money is, and the consumer GPU market is incredibly small compared to that, and you're seeing that shift now. But they've done other really, really crap things around like the 50 series, and normally for historically a new GPU, like a 50 series would come out and the 40 series, a new generation would come out, the previous generation would still be around and it would just get dropped in price.
Right,
so the new ones would just go on top. And that's just NVIDIA said this time, no, they actually stopped manufacturing the 40 series about 4 or 5 months before the 50 series came out. So
and is that because
they dried up supply?
They didn't need to? They weren't making money off it? What was the reason for that?
I think they probably had more money. They could, again, use their fabs for AI chips.
Yeah.
But they just essentially just straight up replaced the 40 series with the 50 series. And it didn't come in on top. So, you can look for prices of used 40 series cards, and they're super expensive.
Yeah.
So, it's just... NVIDIA is definitely a monopoly now. I was just pissed in doing that. But I think this was... When was that? Tuesday night? I think it was Tuesday night. I was playing through the prologue of what we'll talk about, Expedition 33. I finished the prologue.
After you were talking shit about NVIDIA, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Talk shit about NVIDIA. And then finished the prologue that night. It's not long. And then got through the first bit of post-prologue. You're on the expedition, get your first cutscene, you basically have your first, I wouldn't call it a boss fight, but your next tutorial fight. Finish that, got the victory screen, and then I heard a small pop from my computer. Like, it was very muffled, and I was like, well, that's weird. And then my monitors went off with no signal. My computer was still on. I still had audio. I could still hear the game. But my monitors just weren't getting video signal. And I was like, that's weird. Turned them on and off. Still not getting signal. About 20 seconds later, my whole computer just crashed completely. Weird. I powered it back on. Monitors would not get video signal popped off the side of the case. My GPU, when I powered on, had a red LED above one of the power ports on it. It has 3 8-pin power cord connectors, and they each have their own independent LED that, if something's wrong, lights up red. I'm like, crap, is it a cable? Because that could be fine. I'm like, fine, it's one of my power cables. Let me just swap around my power cables so that they're in different connectors and see what happens. Nope, same one still had the red light, which means that little pop was probably some capacitor or something blowing on my GPU. So I will say, Expedition 33 Gomage, my video card.
That's amazing. God. Just playing the new hotness, and all of a sudden...
Yeah.
No.
Just a little poof.
That's crazy, man.
Yep. That was sadness. Good thing I didn't have a 1070. It was a 970 GTX sitting in a box.
Oh, it was a
downstairs.
970. Wow.
Yep. 4 gigs of VRAM, but swap that thing in. At least I'd get my video out. I get both monitors up, and I could browse. Internet do work like that as necessary, but I did try to load Unreal Editor. It loaded, but I was just getting constant out of VRAM warnings on the screen. I was like, cool, not going to do any development on this. Yeah, I'm all fixed now. I got, even though I was angry at NVIDIA and everything and why it's monopoly, is I have no choice but to get an NVIDIA and with what is available right now. So I just ended up getting a 5070, and it's like a 30% performance upgrade from my 3080, which you would think a 50 series would be a much bigger upgrade, but it's not. None of them are, unless you're like buying like a 5090 or 5080 Ti or whatever, the highest end. But other than that, it supports better AI frame gen, whatever. But it runs, and it runs well. It runs a little cooler, less power hungry. But yeah, it was my adventure. Oh, I also got a new power supply, just in case it was my power supply that caused the problem.
Right, you just swapped it out at the same time.
Yeah, I was like, I've had this power supply for quite a while. It's been very reliable, and it's probably still good. It's just like, hey, if I'm doing this, let me just swap it out for a brand new power supply at the same time. And
right.
I really, really don't want something else.
Then your motherboard goes.
Another GPU, because it's the power supply.
Yeah.
So that was, I think I got that all fixed. It was Tuesday, and then Friday I was able to get everything installed.
Where'd you pick it up from?
At Best Buy.
Oh, okay.
They actually had stock. I looked at a stock thing. They had gotten new stock of some cards Wednesday morning. So this happened at Tuesday night, early night. I was like, all right, I'm going to sit on it until the morning to see what I feel like doing. Do I limp along? How much do I want to spend? Do I get something just kind of cheap, just that will work? And
exactly.
I will just ride things out for a while. After discussing with my wife, we're like, nah, you should, if you're going to get something you at least feel like you'll use for a while. And I'm like, all right, I'm still not going to spend an insane amount of money. Cards I really wanted just weren't in stock, and I'm not going to wait for them. And when they do, there's a good chance they're still going to be $800, $900, not more than I want to spend on a GPU. I'll be honest. I would like to save my money so I can do more travel in a few years. And Final Fantasy cards.
Well, the 5070 you think will last you for quite a while?
I think it will probably last me at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's good.
Seems like it. Like playing on, I've tested in. Clair Obscur. It runs that better. It's running Monster Hunter Wilds better.
Oh, nice.
It's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Like, definitely noticeable. I ran benchmarking in Cyberpunk with like psychopath tracing and everything with DLSS on, and I can hit what was I getting? I was getting like 80 FPS or something at like super high settings. Again, 1080p is what I run at, so
yeah.
It will work. It'll work fine for a while. And then maybe in a few years, the GPU market will be in a better place.
Oh my God! Well,
Probably not, but
the Republicans snuck into the tax bill that no one's allowed to regulate AI for the next 10 years. So who the fuck knows, man?
yeah.
Good times.
So that was my adventures of an unexpected upgrade for my PC. But it's all working now. We're recording. I got my PC. It's been
We're
great.
here and we're doing it.
Yeah. And I played quite a bit more Clair Obscur. And I have thoughts.
Yeah, well, this week we are going to talk about Clair Obscur. We both committed to playing through the prologue. Anthony then went and continued on, but I did not. But we will talk about the prologue in depth as much as we want to, and then I don't care about spoilers, so you can tell me about what happens next and your thoughts about what happens next.
Yeah.
So why don't we start just in general impressions of the prologue?
I mean, I continue because you said I plan to continue playing.
I do plan to. I just haven't started yet.
No, you said I plan to continue playing tonight, and that was Monday.
Oh yeah, I did not do that.
So I was like, I guess he's playing more. Okay.
No, I didn't. Nope. But that's all. It's all good. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah. General thoughts.
Very pretty. The prologue, it's incredibly depressing. Like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, I was coming for. I knew generally, but I was like, well, that's a good hook right at the start. Real pretty. Very snappy. A lot of honestly, just really. There's a lot of nice touches with the game overall. The voice acting is great.
Voice acting is incredible. Holy shit!
I still don't know how they got all these actors for it.
Right. I mean, like Charlie Cox is voicing Gustav. Like,
yeah,
he's never done games before, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
I mean, through agents and script readings and things like that. Yeah. But this little French game out of nowhere. But yeah, the prologue sets up the world really well in a lot of like show don't tell kind of way, which was very nice. It was a good hook, and you just part way through the thing, you're like, oh, this is bad. This is gonna be bad.
This is gonna be real sad. There are comparisons to Final Fantasy X that people keep making. There's gonna be some sadness. But it's beautiful sadness because it looks beautiful, and the writing. So far at least, except for the one part in the prologue where you go to the festival and the guy quizzes you on trivia of the world and it's basically just info dumping. That's the only part that was like, this could have been better. But the rest of it, the writing is so exactly right. Show don't tell. Just like there's a whole bunch of stuff and lore in this world and things that have happened before it started that they kind of hint at in the dialogue, and the relationships they kind of hint at. And there's just they're not beating you over the head with anything. And it's really gorgeous, that writing.
Yeah, it was really well done. What do you think of I mean, you've only done a little bit of the combat.
Yeah, I haven't done enough of the combat to really get into what people have been talking about, which is the parry and dodge. Like it worked fine. I had a lot of the training stuff with Mael that I kind of did a couple of times in the intro, and it looks good. I love the action combat a la Mario RPG. Really gives you something to engage with while you're doing turn-based. But I didn't do enough of it to really get into it, but I could see that as it expands, I assume with different characters, you are, adding more layers to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, here's the thing. I actually find the combat the weakest part of the game.
Interesting.
I think there's a lot of tactics in how you plan out your character's attacks. I actually am having, even after I put 12 hours in, I have a lot of issues with the parrying and dodging.
In terms of the timing?
And it's the tells of the enemy. Like, you brought up Super Mario RPG and other games that have done this. They do a little bit more gamifying of that mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have a hard time. Like, even after all these hours, I still just fail a lot of times at it. And for some reason, I just can't get the timing. And they do a lot of like fake out timings with their animations. And I'm like, how many enemies do I have to remember all their attack patterns? because they can have multiple attack patterns as
Yes,
well.
exactly.
And I'm just like, it's grinding on me a bit, making it a little tiresome in that regard.
So the thing that I've heard about that, and I haven't done this yet because I haven't gotten far enough to like differentiated enemy patterns. The advice I heard from multiple podcasts with people who are frustrated with that was close your eyes. It's not a video. It's not a visual cue. It's actually an audio cue, and it's the same audio cue every time. So
maybe I'd have to see it. Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't done it, but that's come from a couple of different podcasts, and I was like, okay, well, when I get to that point, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, you should. Because it still hasn't clicked for me completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is a little frustrating. And I'm like, maybe it's just me. Like, again, I feel like there's a lot of visual noise to the fight.
Yes, there absolutely is.
And that makes it hard. And I'm like, okay, maybe that is it. But maybe that is a thing where it's like, okay, close your eyes. You have to hear it, like know what you need to listen for.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the fact of I'm like, well, this is also a very visual game.
Yes,
so
that's right.
It's not a nitpicky thing. It's just like, hey, I think there probably should have been just a little bit more something visual to make it clear when you might want to like hit parry or dodge. And parry is incredible, but way harder to pull off.
Yeah, because you could counterattack off a parry for like big damage.
Yeah.
Right?
And some enemies, that's what you really want to be doing. You haven't got the jump in there yet. That was a new one. And actually, that's interesting. The jump attacks that you have to, there's enemies will come down and they actually will flash a symbol of their attack, and that's telling you to jump. There's actually a visual indicator of like jump now. But parries and dodge they don't give you any visual indicators as I can tell. So it's not like they don't do it for anything. It's just not the base. So, I would like that a little bit more. I'm getting better at it, but it's not as smooth as I would like. And I thought it was kind of going in here and people talk about it. I was like, oh, this is kind of, I hear people talk about it saying it's very similar to FromSoft and the Souls games and like things like that. But I'm like, no, that's the one thing that From is very good at is their visual tells. You know when that attack's coming.
Exactly.
And Sunderfall just isn't. There's too much other visual noise going on. And it can get distracting. And they don't put that little emphasis in of being like now. So that is my own like only real critique with it is like combat's fine. I'm not loving it. I like when you attack using your characters, it's really cool. There's a lot of active stuff there, and they put stuff like basically quick time event things, where you have to hit A at the right time a couple times, depending on the attacks.
That one I didn't quite understand.
And that's easy enough. Like, I'm like, yep, I get those. Those are great.
I didn't understand that one, so if you could tell me, because like the A comes and then there's like it's a triangle, it's a box or a diamond.
Yeah, it's basically a diamond. Yeah,
and then the outer edge is like ticking down. Basically, at what point are you supposed to hit A?
There's one of the edges.
Mm-hmm.
It's so the diamond starts at the point that's up, and then that thing goes around.
Mm-hmm.
It's the final edge is where you're supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Is you hit A during that thing, and that's a perfect. You could theoretically hit A before it as well, and I think that's.
It's just not like perfect, yeah.
Yeah, but you want to hit the perfect, but if you miss the perfect, you miss the whole cute quick time event.
Oh, so you wait too long, you're done.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, so that's the part I'm like, no, I like this. There's a part of me that wonders. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind if that was on the dodge parry a little bit more. Something or an accessibility where you could just turn on something to give me just something.
And then are you playing normal difficulty or story?
Yeah, normal.
Okay. I've also heard that, and I started on story because I heard the complaints about the timing and how the story doesn't change much, but it does open that window just slightly more. So
okay,
I don't know. I haven't done that much fighting. I've done it just in the prologue, but it felt okay. The thing that I like the most about the combat is weird. It's the splash screen at the end where you hit A to continue, but it's not continue. It's we continue. For some reason, I just love that little touch. Like we continue. Yeah. Yes. Like we are going to keep going. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of little touches like that throughout the game that I really like. Like They do a lot with a little overall.
Yeah, man, they really do.
Did you ever see? Have you seen the thing? It was shown on Reddit probably 2 weeks ago, which was the alpha version of this game.
No. Oh, I saw one where it was like a cell shaded almost art style.
Maybe.
I
Someone
just saw a picture of Mael.
Let me see. It was alpha. So the main dev posted like 6 years ago on Reddit with an alpha version of the game.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just Unreal. It's like default Unreal, like buttons. Really, really.
Was it like games Reddit, where like every Sunday they show a game, their games?
Maybe. I mean, this thing was like, it's not wouldn't say even alpha. It was like prototype.
Yeah.
And it was just an ask if anyone would be interested in working on it.
Oh,
and helping out.
Damn.
Let's see if
I know that they found one. They found the writer who was initially going to be a voice actress on Reddit.
Yeah, that was it. They found the musician just on SoundCloud.
Yeah, on SoundCloud. Yeah,
I just was listening to different music and just sent a message like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing music for this?" And it's really just
music's like, so good so far.
The music is incredible. That's honestly probably one of the highest points of the game for me. It's just the music.
Well, and the motif at the beginning is just so good right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible to then go back and see kind of like where it started and what they worked with, and then what the game looked like 6 years ago, which was like a lot of prototypes, very rough.
Yeah, sure.
But kind of had a vision, and they clearly put together a passionate team and took the time to get all those little touches in.
Do you find that the lip syncing is really off?
Yeah, it's off. I think it's lip synced to French.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just like, this is not matching at all. And I was
I'm pretty sure it's lip synced to French.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
And I haven't switched to French voice acting to check it out. But yeah, I mean that's one of the that's where I'm like, this was still a little smaller team in indie studio. Like I could see true big AAA would actually make it so that it would dynamically lip sync
for each language.
Yeah, and like those are the things that just cost tons of money. That's where that little tiny things go in, which I don't think everyone would care about or notice, but there's that. Another little, it's a nitpicking thing. I think the actual like running around animations are a little choppy.
Mm-hmm.
Combat's great, but the actual like 3D world running around, I was like, this is where the camera is and how you're moving. They had later have a place where you're supposed to do like a parkour section. It's purely optional, like running around across logs and jumping and climbing up and like doing like platforming with that camera and controls. It's not the funnest experience.
Not fun. No.
No, I'm like, why are you emphasizing this? This is not the strength of your game.
Yeah. It's not a platformer, goddammit.
Yeah, they really want to, and it's just it's camera choice and then just how the characters move a little bit stilted sometimes in the 3D world. It's not this clearly I'm like, you put the animation, like your animation button into the budget into the combat animations.
Yep.
Which makes sense. That again, I look at this game and I see a small studio figuring out how to make a good looking game on a small budget.
Yeah,
and knowing where to pick and choose what they do.
Yep. Really punching above their weight for the most part.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're using Unreal in the right way. They're not trying, as far as I can look and what I've seen, I'm like, they're not trying to shoehorn something that Unreal doesn't do into this game. Not like I can speak to Astroneer being like, hey, it's Unreal, but we wanted spherical gravity. Unreal does not like that. We have terrain deformation. Unreal doesn't like that. Like, there's a lot of things where it's like, oh, we modified that engine very heavily for the type of game we're making. Where I look at Expedition 33 and it's like, no, they're not. Yeah, they're making turn-based combat, but the actual like running around and like the world setups, they're just using the in-box Unreal tools to build this, which is the correct way. Like, they're not having to spend huge amounts of time reworking Unreal for their game. They're like, no, we're making a game that works well with this engine, and that saves them a ton of time and lets them polish up the places that they need. So,
yep. Now, I mean, it looks good enough. Yeah. I mean, it looks better than good.
Yeah, it's great. It's neat to see a team do this and just be like, no, see, make smart decisions while making the game. Like,
I'm playing widescreen 2K,
nice,
which is really, really nice. It's got that painterly aesthetic to it. It's a little blurry, but I think intentionally so, which is nice. I have a story question for you.
Yeah.
Halfway through the prologue, Gustav's out there with Sophia, and basically the paintress comes and drops the totem or whatever from 34 to 33, and then not everyone, but most people fade off into flowers.
Yep.
The kids are still there, and Gustav is still there. Is everyone else who went away, are they all 34?
Yes.
Okay, so they're literally 34.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
That's the world. It's been started at 100, and every year it ticks down. And if you're above that age,
and there's no one above that age because there's no 35-year-olds anymore because they died last year, kind of thing.
Yep.
But with Sophia, I thought she was going to go, and she decided not to go. Maybe I had that wrong.
She did not go to the last. Because it sounds like the expeditions are the last your year before you. So the 34s would have gone on expedition a year ago.
And she was a 33-year-old.
She was a 34.
But she was a 34 but didn't go.
Yes.
So she got to live one more year. And then
she did not go on Expedition 34.
Got it. And then when it takes down to 33, she's gone.
Yep.
And dead, right?
Gustav is 30, as far as everyone knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just dust away or petal away into flowers.
That was fucking wild.
Gustav is 33, so he's up next. Mael is the only one who is, I think she's 9 years younger.
Yeah, she's 16.
She's 16, so really young.
Yeah, because he says you have 9 more years, which means she's going up and it's counting down.
That's true. So you're right.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. So they worked out her age to be 16.
That makes sense. She looks like 16.
Yeah, exactly. So that, that story beat, and then, boy, the end of the prologue.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Because I was like, all the marketing and stuff is talking about spoilers, obviously, for the prologue, folks. We're talking about the prologue, but you've got all these characters that are around at the festival, right? And you're talking to all these people getting these tokens to do different things. And then the expedition heads out, lands on the other side where the podium is. And then they basically get wiped the fuck out.
Yeah.
By an old dude guy gets his fucking head chopped off.
Yeah. By an old dude.
By an old dude, exactly.
Who should not be alive.
That's right. In the rules of this world, that guy shouldn't be alive.
Yep.
So you're like, what the fuck? That's where I stopped. I stopped right there when I hit Act 1, where he starts. Yep, exactly. Like, fucking murked. Like, really, almost all of them are just dead. And then you wake up in Act 1 with just Gustav.
Yep.
Man, so those two moments, I was like, okay, the flowering thing is just like intense, infinite sadness here. Like, Sophia chose not to go last time. She knew she had 1 year of life. She was hoping her team would do it, and they didn't. And then that's a death sentence.
Yeah.
I assume it doesn't get any less depressing.
No, actually.
Yeah.
Act 1 is not happier. I'll tell you that. Intrigued. I think the thing is that I'm very intrigued by the story. even where I'm at. I'm curious when they're going to start closing some of the mystery boxes, though, because they have as I've gone through Act 1 now, there's a lot of mystery boxes open. And I'm like, okay, we're getting a critical mass here. I need you to answer some questions.
Gotta have some answers. Don't do a Lost. Don't pull Lost here.
I'm sure they're going to get answered because everyone seems to really like the story
they do,
by the end and everything.
Right.
So I'm just like, how far are you going to string me along here? Because I really want to know more now. Like, I assume soon. I have not really played into Act 2. I got through Act 1. I have a new mode of transportation, so I can go more places. So I was just running around and filling out the map and just seeing what's around.
You're riding like the dude, right?
I can cross water now.
Okay, that's cool.
I will say, like, once you get out where you're at, you're going to exit into a world map, and it's a true JRPG style world map.
You're traversing an open world, or not open world, but a world map.
Yeah, and you're like small characters on like a kind of deformed size map. Like it feels like your old PS1 world map kind of things, just done in a very pretty art style. Yeah, it's really neat in that regard. It wears its inspirations on its sleeve. Yeah, you just look at the games that it's based on. It's like, yep, this is very much a Final Fantasy and a Persona game done through a French lens.
Which is like enough to sell on that game. That game.
It's so French. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
the game is so French.
That's great.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just in a like, yep. If I didn't know what, you just put some of this in front of me from playing and be like, what nationality do you think made this game? I'd be like, yeah, absolutely French.
I mean, it fucking looks French, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot there. And then as the story goes, the writing and everything, it has a lot of, I've seen at least, I'm not, unfamiliar with like French cinema. I've watched a number of French movies and stuff over the years and everything. And I'm like, this totally has the feel of that kind of French cinema and French storytelling going on. For good and bad. Like, I think the dialogue's all fantastic and everything, but there are times when I'm like, what is going on? That was quick. Weird cuts sometimes where I'm like, that's where the mystery box, I'm like, you need to explain some of this over time, please.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Yeah, I want to hopefully play more of it.
Yeah, you're not turned off of continuing, right?
No, I'll continue.
Yeah,
I might just drop the stories to make the combat just go smoother and just be like.
It was one of the big recommendations around that exact issue you have, and the people who did it were like, it literally doesn't change hardly anything except for that timing window, and a little bit of HP pool, obviously, but so it might be worth it.
Yeah, that probably would make things a little easier, a little nicer. Because the actual just like turn-based combat is fine. Yeah, it's very Final Fantasy X inspired in that way. It has very similar combat to 10, but build progressions seems neat. There's a lot of variety there. Good status effect system, which reminds me of Persona.
Yeah, the Pictos and bothering you, or you figured that out pretty
I figured it out finally. Like it took me a second to be like. Not a second. It took me a few hours of playing to be like, wait a second. Like, I know that it said something about having equipped after 4 battles, you learn them and you can equip them to other party members. It took me a while to it's not that it's a hard system. The game doesn't present it that well. I'll just say that.
That's kind of what I've heard.
It could do a better job going like, this is one that that you have mastered, and anyone can use their Lumina points or something to equip. But I now understand the iconography and the coloring to understand like ones that have been mastered versus ones that have not. I still don't understand the leveling of them. Kind of, I'm like. They have a level next to them, and I'm unsure if they level up or if that's just saying higher level ones are just more powerful. Because I have like levels 1 through 8 or 9 of different ones, and I'm like, they can't I can't tell. Yeah, there's some data stuff there that would be nice to understand. You can apply your stats however you like. You can respec. There's item that allows you to respec your attributes, and it doesn't seem like it's that rare, so seems pretty easy to do. I've met Ben Starr's character now. That was cool. So I've now heard Ben Starr in the game.
Yeah, because I haven't figured out. No, I mean, I haven't met the person, obviously, but I also haven't heard in like the media like which character he was voicing.
I actually saw an interview. It was him and Jennifer English.
Okay.
And he wouldn't say his character's name.
Interesting. Okay.
He's like, yeah, I'm in it, and he talked about being in it and everything, but then he was like, I can't tell you who I'm playing. So, and which makes sense. I won't spoil that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You'll hear it, and you're like, it's Ben Starr. That's great. But yeah, you haven't met him yet. Yeah, it's a cool game. Yeah, I'm going to continue it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get back into it. I'm done with school. Graduation was Friday, and
congratulations.
I was a name reader again. That was a lot of fun. Lust is fucking stressful, but a lot of fun. Don't want to fuck up anyone's name. And then I've got some time this week to dig into it, and I'll probably dig into it a little bit tonight.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. It's definitely continue into Act 1. It's neat. You'll figure. It's real dark for a bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's dark at the beginning. It doesn't get better for a little bit from Act 1. Gustav is not in a good spot. I feel like it gets a little bit.
That's good. Okay.
There's a little bit of silliness through Act 1 at times, certain types of characters you meet and everything. But at end of Act 1 is pretty depressing again. Yeah. But I mean, it definitely understands having some playfulness and levity to the game as well, which is nice.
That's taking a page from Final Fantasy, where it's like
pretty much
some weird shit happening to Cloud and company in the middle of some serious shit.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Mostly Aerith being a chaos goblin.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, she really is. Yep. You're like, I thought you're serious. Not really. Yeah, it's a cool game though. I see why it's getting a lot of praise. I have to finish it because I hear people talking like, it's game of the year, and I'm like, what I've played so far, it's very good, and it would be on a top 10 list for sure. It's not hitting game of the year for me. Like, I have a hard time believing there's not better games that are going to come out this year. And it's not better than Blueprints for me.
I say the game of the year already came out. It doesn't matter what else comes out the rest of the year. It's fucking Blueprints. And I'm a huge diehard Nintendo fan, and no Nintendo game is going to beat Blueprints for me.
Well, that's not. I don't know. That's true.
That's
nothing that's Nintendo's announced yet. There could be something.
That's what I mean. Yes, you are correct. That is what I mean. Mario Kart World's going to be awesome. We're going to play a lot of that. Donkey Kong Bonanza, I can't wait for. But Blueprints did so much special shit that it's going to be hard for... I think it's going to be hard to beat that. But we'll see.
Yeah. But I think this is definitely so far, it's trending to being in my top 10, for sure. Again, though, I just need this... Everyone talks about how, they love the story by the end of it. And I'm waiting to see where that... I'm compelled by the story. I haven't turned the corner where I'm like, this is amazing. Right. Because they just haven't given me the answers yet to know that it's amazing.
Yep.
It's well crafted. The craftsmanship is there. It's strong. It's just, let's see what it ends up being.
Right. Yeah, based on what people have said, I assume it's going to end quite strong. So I'm excited to get further into it. I'm not going to be able to catch you, but I didn't think I would. But we'll both have played it this year, which is good. And who knows? Maybe this next week I'll get through Act 1 because I do have most of the week off.
It's not long. I think Act 1 was 8 hours or something for me.
Yeah.
I'm at 11 something, just over 11 hours, and I think 3 of that was just today, me just wandering the world map like filling out, like unveiling the fog of war off the world map to see
Sure.
what's there.
Well, having a deadline helps me get through games. So if we commit to talking about Act 1 next Sunday for our podcast, then I will probably get through it this week.
Okay.
So I will do that. Excited.
I will not. Maybe I'll hold and not go for it. Actually, it's best that if I hold. Actually, got a bunch of stuff going on. I'll hold.
Okay, that sounds good. If you feel like you can, don't wait for me.
I can. I'm in a decent place to pause. I haven't continued the next major beat. So
okay, sounds good. I played another game this week that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
I think you've heard about it. I've heard about it quite a bit since it came out a couple weeks ago. Actually about a month ago now. And I kept thinking I'm probably going to pull the trigger on this eventually to play with my daughter, play with some friends. And I finally did today after hearing another podcast talk, kind of raving about it from a family friendly perspective. And it's Sunderfall, by Dreamhaven, which is Mike Moran.
Yeah.
Gloomhaven, if you played Gloomhaven, it's kind of like that, but simplified, I guess. But it's basically, it's like a tabletop-ish kind of game where you play with your controller. You play with your phone as a controller, and there's a DM who is just one voice actress who's doing the voice for every character, and you go into different scenarios, and you're just playing a whole campaign, really. So my daughter and I, did the tutorial. There's some ogres attacking the town, so you start battling the ogres, and then you move into another scenario where the ogres have stolen someone's supplies. So you walk around town talking to different people and you pick up different missions. And my daughter talked to like a crow, humanoid crow, who was like, someone stole my shit and I really need it back. And my daughter was like, I really want to help that character. Like, okay, you decide which side quest to pick up at the gate leading out to the world. And she found the one that crow was talking about. And we went into the caverns to grab the key and grab the materials, and we got almost to the end. We had the key. We're about to break into the chest and get the materials when we died, so we had to restart the mission. So we'll do that another day. But we played probably 2 hours today. It's really intuitive. It's really great because my daughter's English reading is finally taking off. And so she's reading what's on the screen and reading what the spells are and which one she wants to do and how to you drag your finger across your phone to kind of like map your walk. You get like movement. You have an ability, and then under the ability is just like it's not bullet points, but basically imagine as bullet points, bullet point 1, 2, 3. You do those things in order. So it says like move 3 times. And then you will, do a shot or shoot an arrow or throw somebody or whatever. And then afterwards, it could be move 2 more or something like that.
Okay.
So you do the things in order, and you have to do all the steps. Or you could skip the step, I guess. So she was reading through and, really intuitively figuring out how to follow the steps, and then drawing on her iPad, basically the path where the arrow would go or where she would walk. And she was having a hell of a time. Really fun. It's an E10 game. And it's got some of that Blizzard charm in terms of the visuals. The story is interesting. It quickly gets you into it, and it has really, for the most part, if you're taking Gloomhaven as the baseline, it's simplified that process.
Okay, sure.
And then as you attack, you have a stack of 10 fate cards, which are, I think you have 4 that are positive, 4 that are neutral, and 3 that are negative. And a negative could be like -1 or -2 to your shot. Positive's like +1, +2, or +1 with strength modifier, and then the neutral is like 0 basically. So it just
some randomness to it.
Exactly right. So there's no dice throwing. It's just that's the randomness. It's really really fun so far. I don't know how long the campaign is, but what it sets out to do, at least in the 2 hours that we played, it does it really well. So just wanted to share that. Sunderfall by Dreamhaven. Actually, and then they have a sub studio in Dreamhaven that's Secret Door, who's the one who did this. They have 2 studios. There's another.
Okay.
I don't know if it's an extraction game that's coming out soon. So Dreamhaven has 2 different projects they're working on. Which
Wildgate. I'm looking right now.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
PvP.
Oh, it's like a space shooter.
Yeah, space ship to ship with
that's it.
First person. Is this the one where you're on ship and you can like jump out of your ship and land on other people's ships?
That's crazy.
I think they've had a I want to say they had a technical demo of this recently. I had a coworker that played it and enjoyed it. That's cool, though. I didn't know they also were doing... They're the publisher of Sunderfolk as well. That's neat.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And the more I heard about it a long time ago, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. And then literally almost every podcast I've listened to, except for Kind of Funny, in the past month, someone has talked about this game as a it does what it does really well. It's a great time. And I have a friend here who's really into tabletop that I was like, oh, I need to play with your group one day. And he's just talking about how great it is. And I was like, okay, I'm going to pick it up and play with my daughter.
Yeah, I see on Sunderfolk, one of their bullet points on the Steam page is 4 players, 1 game.
Yeah, exactly.
So Steam remote play to play it together, and then everyone just uses their phone as their controller wherever they are. Yep. That's crazy.
Well, I have it on PS5, so I was thinking about how to do that because it would be fun, I think, to have a game night with you and Travis and whatever else, just so you guys get a taste of it. It does what it does quite well. And the interesting thing on the Triple Click podcast, Jason Schreier's podcast, he was talking about, remember in my book where I talked about Blizzard had canceled 2 games. One was a tabletop game and one was a space shooter game.
Oh.
These are them. So they basically just took the ideas with them.
Yeah, file off the serial
numbers. Exactly.
Yeah, it's be like, nothing like we were working on before look wise. So
yep,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so they've got something there. It's really cool. So I hope it takes off. I think word of mouth is slowly growing. I don't know what it is. I guess I'll go look on Steam real fast, see what the reviews are.
I'm right.
Absolutely recommend it.
Very positive. Only 530 total reviews.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
been up for a
probably 15, 20,000 copies sold on Steam.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it around, but yeah, it came out April 23rd. I mean, April was a rough month for a lot of indie games. There was a lot of stuff coming out.
There was a lot of stuff. That's right.
Because April 10th was Blueprints, which sucked up oxygen out of the room really, really well. Expedition 33 was
almost the same time.
Yeah.
23rd, I think.
Is it the same day? Did Sunderfolk launch?
Sunderfolk was the 24th.
Expedition 33 was 24th. Sunderfolk was 23rd.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, and something that I didn't know, and I know Split Fiction just hammered this into people's heads. You buy it once and you play with your friends. They don't need to buy a copy. Same thing with this. They don't need to buy a copy. You buy one copy. They really need to hammer that home. Anyone who loves D&D, anyone who loves these tabletop games like Gloomhaven, you're going to find something to like here.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to gin up a game night for us. Maybe bring Bill in. Bill, if you're listening, we're going to get you on this. This is something we can play together. Let's do it. That'd be a lot of fun. Okay, so that's what I've been playing. One more thing. Motherfucking Balatro. I had the best fucking run of Jokers. I was basically I had a whole mix of things, but the key thing was plus 20 multiplier for 3 cards or less. And I just kept doing a pair with a stone card, and it was just a ton of chips and then a ton of multiplier. And I get to ante 7 and the boss level, or the third of the whatever it's called, I can't remember, was you must play 5 card hands. And I was totally fucked. Absolutely destroyed. I was getting 30 to 40,000 per game, and then I got 3,000, 4,000. It really just tanked everything. So that's the pain of Balatro.
Yeah, that really is actually. Really fun.
Yeah. What about you? Anything else you've been playing? Or really
no,
just
really
that?
And then my computer exploded, and I had a few days of not playing any games as I was waiting to get that all fixed. Yeah. So, yeah, this coming week, short week of work, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of work because, well, we don't work tomorrow.
Right.
I still probably have about the same amount of work that I need to get done in 4 days.
Instead of 5, you get to do it in 4. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. Well, next week we'll talk about Act 1 of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I'm sure I'm in for some sadness and looking forward to it. Next week, I'm looking forward to To a T and Elden Ring Night Rain. Those are 2 games on my Fantasy Critic they'll be releasing. I'm slowly starting to catch up with the king over here. Yeah, so a lot of fun. All right, folks, if you like our podcast, please rate us on your podcast service of choice, and we will see you next week.
Later, everyone.